So a lot of atheists have been claiming on my Facebook page that they don't need to defend their position because their atheism is simply a lack of belief.
That's exactly what it is. Atheism is just a lack of belief in gods. Now, cue the intro.
What was that?
That is Shockwave.
And since it's a lack of belief, they don't need to defend it. Now, that's pretty absurd, so I decided to make a meme about it. When atheists claim that their position is neutral and requires no justification because they simply lack a belief. By that logic, a belief that cars have no maker is neutral and requires no defense since it is simply a lack of belief in car makers.
And I have a quote for you. I made it myself. But in all seriousness, we can see cars being made. We can go to a car factory. We can observe it. There are some people who can even go on to become car makers. Now, personally, I wouldn't do that because I have no interest in cars whatsoever. But that's the difference between cars and your God. Your God, we cannot see, we cannot touch, we cannot feel, we cannot see him. He is either non-existent or he is just invisible. And that goes against everything that you basically preach and say, well, most Christians anyway, that your God is all-loving, all-caring and wants to save us from damnation, one that he just puts us to himself, because he definitely puts us to damnation for not believing in him, which I think is actually kind of ridiculous, but I'm veering off on the point. If your God is all-loving and all-caring and wants to save us all, then why doesn't he show himself to us? Why doesn't he just show himself to the world and erase any doubt of his existence forever? Then everyone can go to heaven, everyone can be happy in the afterlife, and God will be happy because he has everyone he loves right there with him. So where's the logic behind him being invisible if he loves us all so much and wants to save us? He can't just do it himself with a snap of his fingers. What's your logic, man?
So I want to address a common criticism. Alright, this one came up time and time again, and as you can see, 68 atheists liked it. So obviously, it's a common belief among atheists. So this guy said, the fact that cars have makers is demonstrable and backed by irrefutable evidence. When you can point me to similarly compelling evidence for the existence of God, I'll have no problem accepting it. And he goes on to say, your analogy is incredibly stupid, blah blah blah. But he actually misunderstood me.
Okay, so first things first, I'm going to address this by point. Your first point is that it's a common belief among atheists that atheism is a neutral position. For one, first thing, it's not a belief, it's a fact. The reason that we atheists, or well, some atheists, because I don't know how many people are it, and I'm not technically an atheist, but I would say that atheism is the neutral position because we're not choosing between one particular religion, like for example Christianity and Islam, or perhaps Judaism or Jainism, or Jediism. That's also something. But thing is, no, we choose a neutral high ground because we do not choose between a particular religion. We are neutral in the sense that we abstain from religion entirely. And the point the guy made is correct. If you can provide us evidence that without a doubt that your God exists, then we have no problem accepting it. We will not say that we will worship the God, because if your God exists and he is truly a monster, but we will believe in him. And second of all, third of all, let me introduce you to my friend and henchman, Mini Mole. He's so cute.
So what atheists did here is they actually misrepresented my position. I'm not even comparing the amount of evidence for car makers versus the amount of evidence for God's existence. I'm merely showing that just because you lack a belief in something, that doesn't mean that that position is neutral or requires no justification.
My master does not need to justify his position to the likes of you. Thanks, Minimal. but that wasn't necessary. But he's right. I don't have to justify my position to you, because I live my life the way I want to, and not the way you want to. And same with you. You don't have to justify your position to me. You're just say you're a Christian and you believe in God. Well, I am an atheist. Well, no, actually I'm not, but by definition I am. And I don't believe in God, so we just go about our merry way and nothing happens. I feel no need to. If you don't like me or don't like my position, then please, piss off. I don't want nothing to do with you, because we will not get along that way.
Now, as this user admitted, there's a lot of evidence for car makers, and so therefore, that's the neutral position. If you want to believe that cars don't have a maker, that no one made them, then obviously that's a position that requires justification. You better be able to back that up, because there's simply no evidence that cars can form by themselves.
I'm just going to be honest here, people. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. I find this, if this is an analogy, I find it a really weird analogy. Cars, we can see. There's proof of how they made, because we can just ask the car maker. Can we see your God? Has anyone ever interacted with this God? And someone who isn't made up, like Jesus, for instance? And honestly, no. I've never interacted with this God character, or any other God for that matter, and I haven't met anyone who has. I've met people who have a strong faith in him, but faith will get you just about as much. I mean, with faith, you're not going to convince me. No, you won't.
Now, what about the existence of God? Where is the evidence? Well, Christians can provide a lot of positive evidence for the existence of God, whether it's the moral argument, or the ontological argument, or the teleological argument, or even the evidence from the resurrection of Jesus.
There you go. Listen. It's all in your head.
First one you mentioned, argument. Second one you mentioned, argument. Third one you mentioned, argument. And now the fourth one you mentioned is probably false. An argument is not proof. An argument is not proof of something. It's just an assumption that you make, that may hopefully be true. Now, some arguments can be really helpful. But most of them that you spout here are, well, not working. And the resurrection of Jesus Christ, I've never seen a dead person rise from the dead. Except, of course, in The Walking Dead. But that show is fictional. That's too bad. I really wanted to get with Maggie. But anyway, that's not possible. You say, yes, people have seen Jesus rise from the dead. Am I the first person who's going to say that eyewitness accounts are unreliable? They are unreliable, right, Minimal?
Or, watch any debate by William Lane Craig, where he can defend about half a dozen arguments for the existence of God.
Oh, Billy Craig? The man with the, I believe in the presence of the Holy Spirit fills me, so therefore God is real. So basically, he is the one saying, I have this feeling, therefore God is real. I don't think it's in any way out of line for me to say that he's probably schizophrenic.
Alright, there's no lack of evidence for the existence of God. Now, what about the evidence against the existence of God? Well, atheists don't have any.
What evidence? You don't have any evidence. And you have also no evidence to disprove all the other gods I just mentioned in that quote. Can you disprove Odin? Can you disprove Zeus? Can you disprove Allah? No, you can't. So what makes you think that if you cannot disprove what the thousands of gods out there believed by various religions, what makes you think that your specific God is the real one?
That's why they try and claim that they don't need to provide any evidence. Now let's think about this. If all the evidence is on the side of there being a God, then shouldn't the neutral position be theism?
No, because you have no evidence. I've been through most of this video, and I haven't seen you give one bit of evidence that supports that God exists. All you can give are some arguments, and arguments is not proof. Argument is not proof. I don't know if I can take this anymore, Minimal. This guy's crazy.
And if you want to call yourself an atheist, then shouldn't you have pretty good justification for that, seeing as all the evidence points towards there being a God? See, here's the thing. You want to claim that you don't need to defend your position by virtue of the fact that it's a lack of belief. But we know that's not true, as we saw with the car analogy. You guys all fell right for that trap. But see, you guys are all very quick to point out that cars do have a maker. There are people who build cars, and there's good evidence for that. And so what you're really saying is that atheism is not a neutral belief. And in order to be an atheist, you have to be able to show that there is no good evidence for the existence of God.
No, the only requirement that any atheist needs is that the number of gods they believe in is zero, zilch, nothing. I don't believe in any gods. I do not believe in any gods exist. That's why, by definition, I'm an atheist. Now, personally, I don't like to call myself an atheist because I don't like to put labels on myself. But I don't believe in any gods, so that's why I'm by definition an atheist. An atheist is just someone who doesn't believe in God. Not someone who follows lack of belief in God or follows lack of evidence. No, it's just someone who doesn't believe in God. And that could be because there's no evidence, or it could be just because they see no reason to believe in God.
And so the burden of proof is on you to demonstrate that there is no evidence for the existence of God. And there are plenty of evidences, so I guess your burden of proof is that you need to show that every single piece of evidence for the existence of God is not good and wrong.
You blundering fool!
That's your burden of proof.
If I would, for example, claim that the Sith actually exists, and the Star Wars movies are proof of that, then people would want real evidence. The burden is on me then to prove that everything that puts in the Star Wars movies are actually real and existent. But that's not the case here. You here claim that God exists. You are here claiming that there is evidence against God. No, well, before God. You say that you have evidence that God actually exists. But you don't show it. The burden is on you. You must prove that God exists. You here claim that He exists, so you must prove it. And you say you have evidence, then show us. Change our minds. Make us believers. But if you won't show us any evidence, or do what most theists do and say, I won't show it to you, you have to find it out for yourself, yeah, then we're not going to change our mind. Sorry, buddy boy. Minimal, do you have something to say to this guy? Oh, he's too much of an idiot. Yeah, I can get that. And in any way, guys, thanks you all for watching this video. And until the next time, I will take you, or well, take it to the bank.